Welcome in, everybody. This is going to be an Akashic Records, but also a channeled goddess message reading today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Carrie. I'm an Akashic Records and tarot reader, and I also am a channel. And often I channel a lot of information and guidance from a variety of goddesses. And I think that's going to be the case today. This channel for me is still fairly new. I started it actually in February of 2025, and I'm so excited for the growth and the connection and my weekly live streams on Fridays, getting to know many of you and connecting. And that is my primary motivation for doing this channel, is to connect with you, to support you on your spiritual paths, give guidance so you can understand your own inner guidance. So today, I'm not quite sure where the reading's going to go. And some of you, if you've been watching my videos a little while, you'll notice I'm in different rooms. And so I always like to kind of tell people, because I watch other readers and I see sometimes they're in the same space all the time. And although I strive for that, I live in the Pacific Northwest that can get very cloudy and overcast, especially in the spring. And I live in an older home, and so we don't have overhead lighting in the rooms that I film in. And because the house was built in the 1920s. So I usually go where the light is, and I try to like natural light. So that's a little part of the funny of me being in other rooms. So, but I also feel like it's a real way you get to know your readers and the creators who you're working with. And I think that creates, I hope, a nice cozy atmosphere for you and that you feel a connection. Before we dive into the reading, there is something I really want to talk to you guys about that I'm observing with the energy at the moment, and just to kind of get a climate of what's going on for us in our ascension process. Now, I started my path in my 20s many years ago, over 35 years ago. And during that time, channeling was really starting to emerge to be more of a public experience that people were starting to do. And so at that time, I did learn how to channel, and I channel different spirits that I was working with. And so there was a time that I did it for several years. And then when I transitioned into doing another career, I was a hairdresser for many years. I ended up instead talking to my guides telepathically and then doing something I call conscious channeling. I'm going to be explaining the different types of channeling there are in another video, so stay tuned for that. And then let me know if this is something you're interested in hearing. So you can just put it in the comments. What types of things do you want to know more about that I do when it comes to things you may be interested in? And also there's things I'm going to do on the channel. So as I've been back and connecting my energy with what's going on with the collective, I'm just noticing more and more that the channelers that I respect, and then my own experience has been that I believe that the interdimensional beings, the star beings that really are part of us and we are a part of them, whether we are their descendants or they're our ancestors, who knows, but they're definitely influencing the energy, which means that the energy is raising in vibration. And this is part of the plan, right? The age of Aquarius would be so that we are ascending, we are opening up our energy, we are releasing things from a past life perspective, yes, but also from a ancestral healing perspective, things that have blocked us and kept us stunted in our growth for millennia and centuries, especially since, modern religion came into be after Christianity began. And so this is a huge experience of awakening. And so I want to say that if you're experiencing those symptoms where all of a sudden you are really feeling compelled to go understand your spiritual path, to be able to connect with spirit. Possibly your intuitive abilities are really opening up. You might even be seeing spirits, hearing spirits, experiencing that. I want you to know I'm here for you. And this is what I love to do the most, is to help you on your ascension path, as well as do regular readings and things of that nature. And I want to say, I think there's been an acceleration over the last couple of months. I really feel as though the guides that I work with, and also the archangels that I work with, and then the star beings that I have connected with, which isn't as much of a part of my practice, but things are starting to ramp up. We are speeding up. So I'm going to just be focusing on starting the reading from that point and what that means as far as how it might affect you, but also what you can watch out for. The thing about it is, some of the words and terminology that is used in the spiritual community, especially if you look all over YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, we hear different words used and terms used, and sometimes it can be confusing. Things like light codes and 5D and parallel timelines. And so if you do have any questions about any of those, or you want to share about that, let's talk about it. So let's put it into this conversation, and I want you all to feel supported and to understand it. And I always like to break things down into a down-to-earth manner. So I take it from the more expansive version of spiritual information and then bringing it down into something you can relate to, something you can measure, something that you can bring into your everyday life. So I'm going to start pulling on my cards. I've got several decks that I am very drawn to working with as of late, especially a lot of Rebecca Campbell's decks, because I feel like she really captures, as far as an oracle deck creation, the essence and the energy of a lot of things that are going on in the process. And if you consider yourself to be someone who is connected and understands the divine feminine, or you're understanding what that means as far as divine feminine, divine masculine, and being able to balance the energies on the planet again, this reading is definitely going to be something you're going to want to stick around for, okay? Also, at the end of the video, I'm going to make some recommendations. If you're going through big changes and you would like some support, I've got some videos for that, so I'll mention those. So let's just see what we have. All right, I'm just going to start bringing out as many cards as they tell me to. So we're starting with the Oracle here, just to see what the messages are. Okay, so right away, we've got Council of Light, Divine Orchestration, Helpers in the Subtle Realms. Now, in this image, there are a lot of ascended masters, and there are a lot of the goddesses here. We have Mary Magdalene in this image. We have Kuan Yin. We have Mother Mary. We have Isis. I would say Christ is here, as well as Saint Germain and many others. And so all those spirits are coming forth even more so. They have been for a long time, but even closer to us, to help us with our journey and our ascension. And one of the things I'm going to talk about in an upcoming video is the different types of spiritual support we have, all the way down to, and never to be underestimated, our everyday spirit guides, our ancestors. Then we also have nature spirits, elementals. We have deities. We have ascended masters. We have the saints. We have archangels. And we have star beings. So we have a lot of different spiritual help that can really help us, that we can call upon during this ascension process. Next, so that was Divine Orchestration, Helpers in the Subtle Realms. And when we say subtle realms, what does that mean? I'm sure that many of you probably know what that is. That essentially means the realms that are above the third dimension. The physical world is the third dimension. The subtle realms, the etheric realm, where your energy, your essence is, where your soul's blueprint is, and things of that nature, are in these subtle realms. So that means those guides are connected to you. Now, the subtle realms are not somewhere else. They are not off in some, faraway land. They're right around us. The difference is they're a different frequency. And most of us are used to dealing with things on a denser frequency, meaning what we see in front of us and feel. And so it's when you convert that and start being aware of the subtle realms, that's when you can really connect in with these different spirits that can help you, these divine beings. All right, we also have the inner temple, devotion, tune into the portal of your heart. You know, the thing that I keep coming back to over and over again is that the sanctuary that we are looking for is within us. And so the more we learn to cultivate a relationship and become mindful and listen and go within in the ways that we can, even in small ways, the more we'll be in tune with where we want to go on an energy level and the places we want to soar to. It starts always within. That's here, inner temple, devotion, tune into the portal of your heart. So starting with your heart chakra, your heart space, and asking those questions to your inner self, your higher self. What do I need to know today? Creating that relationship. In another probably 2 weeks, I'm going to be releasing, I would say, support offer for all of you, which will help you get to this point where you can really tune in to your intuition and your guides, but doing it in a way where it's small steps each day. So that by the end of 7 days, the end of 10 days, you're going to have this wonderful experience of being able to really connect in and get the answers and the information you need for not only just that day, but for where you're headed. These are the questions I get in all the readings I do over and over again. And so I base all the things I create for all of you on those desires. We're also looking at soul family. Call in your tribe. You don't have to do it alone. I would say that as well. And notice, I keep seeing dolphins everywhere as well. Remembering, because I know we have these mammals, these higher intelligent and higher awareness beings. Of course, dolphins being one of them, but we also have other wonderful beings that are surrounding us that we may not be able to see with our eyes that are here to help us as well. And this is what it reminds me of. Soul family, though, are really people that you can connect with, that you can be yourself, that you can share your truth, that you can talk about what you're experiencing and feel supported. Someone who will listen and be there for you without judgment. And then this final card, and then we'll move into the tarot, is boundaries. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? So that's a really important part of any experience anyway, but especially if you're going through your ascension, because you are going to need space, you're going to need understanding, support, and you're going to need those around you to really understand that it is okay that you are going through what you're going through. Okay? I really want to find out what's the message. What do they want us to know? What's going to help us on our path? What do we need to know? What do we need to be aware of as we go forward today? These readings are always timeless, of course. And by the way, everything as far as the reading part of this will be timestamped below so you can know what's coming. So I'm just going to dip in here and see what is it that we need to know right now and possibly what's coming around us, and then what do we need to give in order to move forward on our path. Okay, let's see what's coming. Let's see, 9 of Swords. So that's right away another reason why we need to have so much self-care. And so part of our releasing of these heavier energies that have kept us, I want to say, in place for many lifetimes, not just this lifetime, but many lifetimes. They've kept it, that those beliefs have kept us small. They have had us worrying about what others think. And they also put us in the cycle of worrying. Now, I have a meditation, which I'll link here on this video, which really helps with releasing energy blocks. It's a wonderful activation of your own inner healer so that you can begin to release some of these thought forms and blockages. And a lot of these stem from past lives right now specifically. And I'll be talking more about that as we go forward in other videos, certainly. But that is really what is a lot of you are doing, is that you're clearing out when you came into this lifetime, you made a soul agreement, a contract, that you would release these binding vows, agreements, and the programming that you had throughout many lifetimes. And if you can look at those things as programs that have run your experience, when you use a computer, you activate it by putting in information and then it gives you a response. It's exactly like what a program does. And it keeps you in a loop, doing the same thing over and over. And that essentially is the Nine of Swords at its core, because it's keeping you worried, it's keeping you fearful, it's keeping you second guessing yourself and feeling as though you need to fix something or you're doing something wrong, or what if something doesn't happen? So everything outside of this moment. Now, what's coming towards you? This is very interesting. This is sort of, so Four of Swords in reverse. Okay. So my estimation here has a lot to do, not so much with the Four of Swords itself in reverse, which says if we look at it from the outside, it's giving us something. The world will keep getting us to push ourselves. The world will say, you haven't done enough. The world will say, you've got to keep busier. You need to measure up. What about you compared to everybody else? This is in the reverse. So it says we have to go back to the card before it and understand that. The card before the Four of Swords is the Three of Swords. And if you've seen the image of the Three of Swords, it's essentially this heart that has the three swords, right, piercing it. The piercing, though, is not from this time frame. It's from past time frames. So that's why this busyness behavior is leading to avoidant behavior within you to really keep you away from doing what you need to do to release the core shadow that is keeping you stuck in patterns. You see what I'm saying? And this is why in a minute, I'm going to talk to you about one of the goddesses who is stepping forward, that was stepping forward before I started this reading, and some of the things that she wants to bookmark into this reading. So I will continue with that in a moment and tell you all about it. Oh my goodness. There's the card, Three of Swords. I just got the chills. It is very easy for all of us to have avoidant behavior where we pull ourselves in 20 directions before we clear out what we need to clear out. And it's not, honestly, that it's so difficult to clear this out. It's just that in our subconscious, we have avoidance tendencies, which means that it feels as though if we even look at any of these old pains, it's going to make our lives fall apart. And I'm hearing it couldn't be further from the truth. That's what I was hearing from the goddesses earlier. And we're talking to Artemis today, so we'll bring her on in a second. I actually have a deck that a friend of mine created, who Artemis is her patron deity and one of them. And so she created a deck in honor of her, which is very telling for what we need, I think. So here's what we've got. In the attempt for you to move forward on your path, you have to clear out. It's very hard to go through the spiritual growth process, the ascension process, if you are in habits and behaviors that are keeping you stuck. We can see that from the Nine of Swords, right? The repetitive, obsessive, in the background thought processes. I've had to deal with this myself and still have to clear it out. I'm with you. So here's what I'm getting here. You're trying to move on. We have the Fool card, which is saying, okay, we're starting on a new journey. This is our path. We're headed in the right direction. And we are delighted and excited and we want to go. However, we have an albatross on our back. We have the devil on our back. And the devil is never supposed to be an evil energy outside of you. The devil is what you allow to be a hindrance to your growth and development. And that keeps you stuck in habits, patterns, sometimes addictions that keep you down, keep you stuck. Self-fulfilling prophecy. So we want to understand what's the core of this energy for us. And what do we need to do? And where can we go with that, right? What's the message? The message there is that we need to probably start doing things like journaling, shadow work, probably doing some like an emotional freedom technique, EFT tapping. I would also say I like doing transmutation work, energy work. So if you do visualizations, journey work, those experiences really help. Now, I have a membership called Goddess Rising, and it's completely dedicated to those that want to really get in touch with their inner self on their spiritual path, to be able to develop their abilities, but to really walk alongside of the goddess, balancing the masculine and feminine, and then working with goddesses. There's so many parts to it. And we do all these things. We do shadow work. We do intuitive development. We work with goddesses. We develop our spiritual communication with spirit guides. It's pretty phenomenal. And in that, we are working on these albatross energies, okay? So here we go. This is coming in the Knight of Pentacles, which is a very slow-moving knight. He's very honorable. He wants to do the right thing. He's noble, but he sometimes stays in situations too long. Eight of Swords. We've got a lot of those swords coming out to try and keep you stuck, to be honest with you. But these cards together show me that there's resistance here. I almost feel like I'm stuck in mud or molasses or a type of slow-moving quicksand that's making me feel like I'm just falling to the bottom. So this is definitely something you want to look at. Why am I resistant? What am I afraid of moving forward with something? What's the blockage? What do I need to know, right? What is keeping me stuck? I'm going to grab the Artemis deck, so hold tight. All right. So that's the core message. Now let's see what the guidance is from Artemis. Again, if you don't know much about Artemis, certainly you want to definitely check out. I have a live stream that I did with my friend Alyssa from LaRusta Mystic. I will pin it. And she has so much knowledge about the Hellenic, the Greek gods. And so we, in my Goddess Rising membership, started working with Artemis last month and just had an amazing time. So she's created this oracle deck. It's called the Wisdom of Artemis Oracle. It comes with this incredible canvas bag. There's just so much to it. But the whole deck, first of all, is dedicated to Artemis, and also it has on here her Orphic hymns and her Homeric hymns. There's so much about this. I could have a whole nother episode just on this, a whole nother video. And so I'll keep it a little brief now, but I'm going to just bring Artemis forth. Artemis is an incredibly strong, very active goddess, and she is very much when she worked with all of my members, she was really pushing us to grow. She was putting us into action. She's a very physical energy, so she has you moving through your ascension and through your growth and in your life. And so she is going to be giving us some pretty, I'm sure, straightforward, blunt information. So let's see what she has for us. Yeah, this doesn't surprise me. So I have to cover these because this is original art that she has, and most of them aren't wearing clothes, of course. So we have Artemis, and see, there are different epithets, which are essentially hymns to these goddesses, to these gods. And they're really known as you can connect with different aspects of these gods, goddesses, and work with these. That's, again, a whole nother topic, which is so fascinating. We talk about this in the membership. But this is an aspect of her called Artemis Gorgopis, fierceness. Face challenges with unshakable courage and strength. And that is Artemis, essentially. She is getting you to stand up for yourself, to take out the blockages you have. And I'll tell you what she showed me earlier, and to get you as strong as possible, because you're going to need it for your ascension. You're going to need to have that deep sense of self-preservation, like the reserves you need to grow. Here we also have Artemis limnatus, which is all about flow. Go with the flow and move through life's challenges. This is incredible. So same type of thing. So there's the strength and then there's the flow. So a couple of things I want to say that Artemis gave you as we wind down this reading, and I hope it's helped you. As we know, going through our spiritual awakening and ascension is a growth process. It is not always easy, and sometimes it's isolating and it can be confusing. And it is my hope on this channel that you find a safe space where you can come back and get as much encouragement as possible and as much guidance as possible, and that you feel it's accessible and tangible. And remember, every Friday, I do a live stream at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'd love you to come. Now, Artemis wants me to remind you also to please be sure to subscribe and like this video. Subscribe to the channel so you can come back and see me. They usually have to remind me of these things, actually. What she was saying to me is that a lot of you right now are clearing out your sixth chakra, your clairvoyance center, your ability to really see spirit, but also your precognition, your clairvoyance, and also your ability to prophesy. So that's all part of opening up your psychic abilities and using what you've been given as a spiritual being, not muting yourself. This has been wonderful. I love being in the energy of connecting for all of you. I hope it has served you well. Please let me know in the comments if this resonated or any insights you have. I always love to know.